All right.
All right. I'm here today with State Representative Jeff Pyle, who represented the 60th Legislative District from the years 2005 to 2021. His district contained part of Armstrong, Butler, and Indiana counties. Thank you for being with me today.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to start off with a question about your childhood and family life. What was it like
Sure.
growing up?
I was raised in a loving household. My dad was a naval vet who was a steel worker. My mom was a teacher. And as a young kid, we lived in Jersey, and we came back in 1968. And I got enrolled in kindergarten, and we were off to the races from there. Ford City school system.
Okay. What made you decide where you went to college and to study eventually education?
Well, education's my second degree. Hold on, please. Hey.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, my first degree was political science, but I had no job opportunities there. So I actually managed restaurants for a couple of years.
Okay.
Which
That's
sucked,
not easy
and
work.
I knew I didn't want to do. And tended bar to get my way through my second degree, which was education from IUP.
And you were a social studies teacher?
Yep. 13 years.
Yep. I did it for 2, and that was enough for me.
Had enough.
You eventually became the mayor, and what was that experience in that campaign and that first intro to political life like?
Well, I decided to take all my kids out one day and plant a bunch of trees along our walking trail. And I went to the mayor at the time, and I asked him, would he write a nice letter for these kids to put in their file? Because, you know, their time's not free, and they showed up, and we planted 138 trees along our trail.
Wow.
They're all still there. They're beautiful. They're flowering pears.
Oh.
And he said he was too busy, and it pissed me off.
I can imagine. That's a lot of trees.
And I decided I would run for mayor so I could write the letter. And I did, and that's how we got started.
That's a great story. So what influenced you to be a Republican?
Well, my family's always been Republican. We used to joke that my grandmother registered Lincoln. And yeah, we've always been Republican, the whole family.
So what made you decide to move to run for your House seat?
Truthfully, it wasn't my idea. Jeff Coleman talked me into it.
Oh.
Yep.
What was his pitch?
Well, his pitch was, I think you'd be good at it. You got enough maverick in you to tell him when to, pound salt. So I did.
He was right.
Well, about the being maverick, yeah.
Can you talk to me about that campaign? What were your campaign strategies? Did you like to knock doors? Did you like to, do something different?
That's exactly what we did. We had no money, had never done it. All we had was a list of where people lived. And I went out and I said, I want to get rid of property taxes, which was the one thing I was not successful at. And we went out and beat on, what was it, something like 13 or 14,000 doors.
Wow.
Which in Armstrong and Indiana counties isn't the easiest thing, man. I mean, we would go for eight hours over in Indiana County and not find 100 doors. I'm serious. It was very rural. And we kept going and going and going, and the guy I was running against owned his own little newspaper, and
that's a little bit of
no, he was his own guy, and we debated him on TV and tore him up. and we took 68% in the first election.
Yeah, you had some challengers. You didn't have, you had to work for it a few times.
Well, a couple of times. The one time this kid came out and he was talking all kinds of smack. And I was like, I'd never even met this kid. And so we hung an 82 on him.
So did you enjoy campaigning? Did you like getting out there and talking to people and hearing what they had to say?
I liked talking to people. I didn't like all the other silly shit.
I can believe that. So did your family assist in your campaigns? I know you had some younger children when you first started in office.
Well, yeah, they would go out and walk with me every so often, but not much. It was mostly me and Abby.
Okay. Your district is pretty far from Harrisburg. How did your travels back and forth affect your family?
Well, like I said, they were very young when I first got elected, so it didn't really land on them. But I missed birthdays and dance recitals, which I regret.
Yeah.
But that's really my only regret.
Yeah. Do you remember your first swearing in or any eventful or memorable swearing-ins over the years?
Yeah, the first one was just so overwhelming because I'd never seen it before, and all the flowers and meeting my classmates, which was a highlight, and meeting Sam Smith and all of those guys. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. What makes your district unique, and what are the things that constituents would come to you about as the most important things they cared about?
Mostly taxes or getting screwed up with some kind of state form or some kind of process we had to fix for them. Which we did. We stressed customer service.
Yeah.
Constituent outreach. And we used to do house calls and phone calls and all that stuff. And we're pretty rural out here, but the interesting part is we also have a lot of steel workers and factory workers here. So we had a great mix of people from every different kind of perspective.
Interesting. So whenever you first became a member, did you have any mentors that showed you the ropes here?
Oh, my, yes. Mario Severa was one of our mentors, and Rick Geist was one of my mentors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, how about that? Rick recruited me to be on transportation.
Yeah,
Sam Smith.
Wow, yeah.
Big name. Some pretty heavyweight kind of guys.
Yeah, great. Rick Geist's widow donated a lot of his things, and we got to go visit her in Altoona, and he's an interesting guy.
Rick was a good guy, and his wife was wonderful. She treated me like a son.
Oh. Did you get whenever you're here, you have your work, but did you get time for any fun things off the clock here with your fellow members?
Nothing I really want to talk about.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Well, you don't want drinking stories, and there were a lot of those.
Okay.
And we did a lot of other stuff. I mean, playing softball for the food bank was really cool, and we'd run around together, and I'm still close with a bunch of those guys, and Mark Keller and I still talk on the phone a lot.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So you were here for quite some time. Did you get the chance to take on that mentor role for any newer members while you were here?
Oh yeah. I mean, Sam would come to me and say, "Hey, Pyle, I want you to pair up with this guy and make sure he doesn't get in trouble." And that's what I did. There were a lot of them. Color was one of the young ones, and now he's the speaker, which blows my mind. And he and I shared an office together for 6 years.
Uh-huh.
You know, so
Wonderful, yeah. So what was your relationship with the media? Did you find that they were fair to you or antagonistic towards your efforts?
my local media just pretended I didn't exist. I would send them articles and about stuff we were doing for the county, and our joke was, no Pyle before page 6.
That's not
Yeah, I'm
great.
serious.
Hmm. Do you think there's a challenge in keeping constituents updated on state politics that it sometimes gets eclipsed by like a national politics story?
Around here, no.
Okay.
I mean, around here, we have one local paper, and it focuses on the county commissioners.
Okay.
Yeah, which, when I decided I was going to hang it up, I went to those guys and went, what the hell are you going to do to make the newspaper now? I mean, I did a lot of stuff, and then I would read in the paper. Like, one of the things we did was a national model for reopening locks on rivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, I picked up the paper one day, and they were taking credit for it. I'm like, I just put $300,000 into this. Hey, hold on one second.
Yeah.
Hon, can you grab this pillow, please? My neck's killing me. What? Grab that pillow, please. Thank you. Hi, you there, Jen?
I'm still here.
Yeah, one of the things we did was we set up a steady, reliable funding stream that didn't attack the taxpayers for reopening the locks on the Allegheny River.
Yeah.
Because doing that was worth a whole lot of tourism money to the county every year. And here these monkeys jumped up and took credit for it. And they did it again when I landed the college here in town.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they they put up 25 grand, man. I put up 1.7 million.
That's right.
And they wanted to take credit for that, and I said, "Well, how'd you do that?" No answer. Crickets.
Oh, well, that's not a great relationship there. What about here in Harrisburg? Did Harrisburg pay attention to the issues further west in the state?
No. No, Armstrong was too small for them to really pay attention to. And you got to bear in mind, I had Dave Reed right next to me, and Dave was a press monster. Dave would have a press release out and flying before, I knew what had hit me. But the upside is I was very close with my senator, Don White. And he would call and go, "Hey, I'm going to do a press release." And I'd go, "Okay." He goes, "Give me 2-3 sentences." And I'd give him 2-3 sentences. And he'd go, "Good, good, good. Jeffrey, my boy." And yeah, Dawn's a sweetheart.
Nice. So you were here a long time, so you can maybe have some perspective on how things have changed. How does partisanship impact the work that you do here, and has that changed over time?
Yeah, it has. When I first started, we were a lot more nonpartisan. And towards the end, we became just, like two rats in a cage. And, I was there for the McCall years, Keith McCall, when they wouldn't even let us speak.
Yeah.
And, but it all worked out. Cutler has brought a lot of peace to the tribes.
Well, that's good. That's good for everybody. So you had the chance to be on many committees while you were here, and even chair liquor control. What were some of your favorite committees to work on?
Loved transportation.
Okay.
Loved it. I was with Rick, and Rick kind of took me as his right-hand man, and made me do it. And I loved sharing liquor and all the guys on that committee. Energy, I was on that one for a long time, and then along came Daryl.
Oh, he said you had to go?
Well, I had to go. Daryl and I were those two warring rats in a cage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we didn't get along.
Yeah,
I had a lot more experience, and I was tighter. Like, I was the coal caucus chair for many years.
Right, that's right.
And, I could call those guys anytime I needed backup, and they'd give it to me. And it made Daryl mad.
Yeah, he's retiring too, we hear.
I saw that.
Yeah. Well,
Mike Pfeiffer blew my mind. I didn't know he was retiring.
Yeah, there's quite a list actually this time around.
Dave Millard, Mike Pfeiffer. Who else?
Well, there's some people running for some other offices that might leave, if they win those races.
Yeah.
One, if the redistricting changes, there'll be some people pitted against each other. And if you
I saw that, and anybody that says that ain't gerrymandering's lying to you.
You have to. We'll be watching the hearings, seeing how it all goes here.
Oh yeah.
Was there any committee work that you were particularly proud of? Something that you were really able to hammer out and take to the floor and get passed while you were in any particular?
A lot
committee?
of it. It's just some guys think that the main goal is to get as many pieces of framed up legislation up on the wall. I never thought like that. I thought I thought there was too many laws, to be honest. And most of my best work was beating down crap.
Yeah.
We need to have a space center. No, we don't.
A space center.
That's a dumb idea. That's a dumb idea.
I don't know. I kind of like it now you said it.
Well, now that we have Space Force, it's a different game.
Well, speaking of kind of space related, one of your you've had several successful pieces of legislation, despite it not being all about the frames on the wall. One was about specifically about drones and unmanned aircraft.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell me about what was the inspiration for that bill, and how did you get it across the finish line?
There was a father in Kentucky who had two younger daughters. And one day they were out in a swimming pool in the backyard, and a drone showed up. And the next thing he know, here's pictures of his kids up on the internet. Yeah, so he went in and got a 12 gauge and tried to shoot the thing down.
Good.
Well, that's what I'd do, but the authorities came and arrested him, and I thought, that's bullshit, man. The thing was overflying his own yard. So there was a lot of coordination between me and the FAA.
Okay.
And as far as I know, and time has passed, so I don't know if it's changed, but they were using my bill as a model for all the other state legislatures that wanted to regulate drones.
Well, that's something to be very proud of.
Well, that's not the only one. The opening the locks on the Allegheny River was another national model.
Yeah, that's not one like I think it's something that gets a lot of press, an issue like that, but is really important.
For us it is. The Allegheny River cuts our county directly in half. And we're one of the few counties in the country that has that. It's usually a border, but not for us. It's right down through the middle. A bisection. And they're very interested in those.
You had a couple of successful pieces of legislation that were about like the bridge and highway renaming. How do those kinds of legislations get approached to you, and why are they important?
I don't really count those as legislation. I mean, namers are easy.
Yeah.
You just do it. Like, we had one that had to go fast because we had an army unit coming home from Iraq.
Mm.
And a bridge that landed right at the base of their base.
Mm.
So I had to go to Rick and push, and we got it done. And the signs were up for them on the buses to look at on the way home.
Nice.
So I was kind of proud of that.
Yeah. I think people sometimes slack those off as a little bit of fluff, but it ends up being something really meaningful to the people who see them.
They are fluff. Let's call them what they are. But, like you said, to some people, they truly matter. So.
Good. One of your other pieces of legislation was had to do with mine safety and about the medical responders being employed in county. Can you talk about the origin of that and how you were able to work?
Well, Armstrong has a very vibrant coal mining industry.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that's going to improve safety and speed of care, why wouldn't you go for it?
Mm-hmm.
So I did.
Great. You were a big supporter of Second Amendment things, and I'm talking about hunting and it being a big thing in your district. Can you talk a little bit about how important those issues are to the people in your district and maybe some of the trouble negotiating those things here in Harrisburg?
Well, there was very little negotiation. It was, I'm Godzilla and you're Tokyo. How do you want to play this? I mean, Constitution of the state says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be questioned. And Philadelphia always had a problem with that. And there were always 30 of them and one of me. So I had to put up a lot of fight.
Mm-hmm.
And we always won. So
that's that.
That's all there is to it. I'm right, you're wrong. Do I need to explain any of this?
Another issue that it seems is really important to you over time was fossil fuel industry and the Marcellus Shale and things that are these resources that are in Western PA. Can you talk about the importance of that in your district and the livelihood of the people who live there?
Well, in my district, it's very important because, I'll give you one. I don't know if you know this. Where are you from, Jennifer?
I am from Franklin County, Rob Kaufman's district.
All right. When they drill a gas well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not a Marcellus well, a regular old gas well. It's common in the contract that person gets free gas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do you do to a farmer living out in the middle of nowhere with a gas well? Okay, yeah, when he's young and strong, that's easy, but when they grow older and they're in their 70s and 80s and they've had free heat all their life, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere they say, sorry, we can't do that anymore. That's a true hardship on people. And we've got a lot. We have, what is it, like 13,000 shallow gas wells in Armstrong County?
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're the coal and gas belt.
Interesting. Yeah, that's it's I think Pennsylvania sometimes struggles to understand how people on the other side of the state live and the realities of their day to day with things like that.
Well, Philadelphia has their perspective and we have ours. They just think because they're a lot bigger, they're right, and they're not. They're just not. Yeah.
Is there any other legislation that you're particularly proud of having worked on? I know that just because your name's on it doesn't, your name's not on it doesn't mean you weren't instrumental in it.
Well, the transportation bill was huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm glad we got that done. I don't know. I'd have to look at the book. I really
Yeah.
never kept track.
Yeah, and in such a long career, I'm sure it's hard to pick
Excuse me?
one thing. I know such a long career, I'm sure it's hard to pick one thing that when you've worked on so
Well,
much.
you work on so many different things that you
Yeah.
know they tend to slip by. Now that I've been out for a little while, they slip even faster.
Where it made you have to fill you in.
Yeah.
So
Well, Abby and I worked together for 16 years, and you know, she was in the middle of all of them.
yeah, I was in preparation for this interview. I was looking through some of your old newsletters, and the one I found had a picture of her in your office staff, and she's so young on her photo in your newsletter.
I know she's still pretty young, but you know.
Even more so. So the last couple years here in office for you were a somewhat unusual time with COVID. Do you think the state handled it the best way they could, or do you think
I was
partisanship?
out of there before COVID hit.
Yeah, you weren't here.
I was out.
Yeah. We'll shift gears to talk about some maybe memorable events that you were here. Do you have any fun stories from the House floor or from anything that you got up to here?
Well, I mean, I tried not to speak unless I had to.
Okay.
You know, but there were times I had to, and you know, having guys cheer your name on the medical marijuana speech.
Oh yeah.
I made the entire place cry.
Mhm.
You know, but something I felt strongly about.
Yeah. Can you talk about that position change, perhaps, or was it not just a total 180? Was it just a softening on the topic of the medical marijuana? Were you once opposed and then changed your mind, or were you always open to it?
I'm going to tell you a wild story. Okay.
Mhm.
I walked into my office one day. This is when me and Cutler were over in the East Wing together.
Mhm.
And I walked in, and there was a guy unplugging my phone and turning off the lights. And I said, "What are you doing?" And here his wife in the corner had a little girl. And he said, "She's very reactive to sensory stimuli like that."
Yeah.
And I said, "So why are you doing that?" He goes, "She'll go into seizures."
Whoa.
And I said, "Well, what do you do to stop them?" And he said, "Medical marijuana." And that's before it was legal. So the guy was taking a risk.
Mhm.
Excuse me.
Mhm.
And right then and there, I decided we got to get this done. So we did.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting story in Pennsylvania, because many other states, haven't gotten across that. Some people need it.
Well, it's approved by 88% of the public. What's that tell you? You know?
Yeah. Enough evidence for me. What did you like best about being a representative, and what did you enjoy the least?
Well, on the Harrisburg end, it was working with other people towards a goal.
Mhm.
You know, I like that. I mean, there's guys out there right now, Seth Grove, Mike Pfeiffer, Kurt Sonny. I'd work with them anytime.
Yeah.
You know, if they called me today, I'd work with them.
Mhm.
But here at home, what did I like? Fixing people's problems.
Yeah. What did you
I had
not
Abby. All I had to do was say, "Call Abby."
That's the best way to get things done. What did you not enjoy about being a rep?
Having to tell people I couldn't help them.
Yeah.
You know, the commissioners are always looking for more money. You know, here in Armstrong, we got a public swimming pool that falls apart every summer.
Mhm.
We need money. We need money. No, why not? We don't have swimming pool money.
Mhm.
You know, which kind of sucks, but somebody's got to be the big person at the table.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any you said earlier you didn't really have any regrets, but is there any disappointments that you have from your time here?
Not really.
Okay. What advice would you give a new member coming into the house?
Keep your eyes open, don't say much, and learn a lot. And after a couple of years, if you have ideas, go to your chairman.
After a couple years.
Well, it takes you a while just to learn
Yeah.
where all the staircases and bathrooms are,
That's true.
you know, and once you figure that out, then you take the next step.
Yep.
How to make a bill.
Yeah. How do you want your time in office to be remembered?
Man of the people. Truly. I was never better than anybody.